FrankTalks.com.
Now, News Talk Radio CJAD 800 gives you passion with Dr. Laurie Betito. What you need to get your relationship to the next level. Here's Laurie.
Welcome to Passion, a show all about love, sex, and relationships. Tonight on the program, Dating Dilemmas. Once a month, we focus on dating issues. It is brought to you by EliteSpeedDating.com. Joining us in studio is our usual suspects, Frank Kermit, who is a dating coach, the author of many books on the topic of dating. He's the relationship columnist for thesuburban.com. And we have Fritz-Gerald of Elite Speed Dating as part of our dating panel. We're answering all dating questions tonight. So if you're single and or newly single and you have some questions about dating, tonight's the night. 514-800 to text in 514-790-0800. Now we were all welcome, gentlemen. We were all sitting, out there in the green room before going on air, having a very animated discussion about one's number. In other words, is it important to know your partner's number of sexual partners? Why do you need to know? Is it an important part? And I want to ask our listeners, is it important to you how many partners before you your significant other had? It's one thing if they had more, since you, with
Agreed.
You, that's a problem. But
Or a benefit. Depending.
No, but we'll see. So I want to hear from people. Is it important to know your partner's number? And I'm guessing there is a gender difference here. And I only say this because I've seen, over the years, a number of men who have or couples where that's the issue, but only for him. It's an issue because somehow maybe she had one more than him, or he thought it was too many, and how many is too many? And so if she had one less, would you be okay with that? Why is the number important? Fritz, what do you think? Is it important or not important?
I think the number is not important. I don't even think the question should be asked.
Right. How many, right?
How many?
Exactly. At which point would you even ask that question?
Exactly. I don't know, because I don't even see the importance of asking the question. I don't see how anybody could get ahead or in their relationship.
What is the benefit to asking that
Exactly.
question, right? Is there even a benefit to asking that question? I don't think personally that whatever that answer is, it explains who the person is today.
Exactly.
So I know Frank feels differently.
It happened before. It's done.
And
It's
this is who
finished.
I am today. Maybe I was this way then. Maybe I had lots of casual sex, or maybe I had nothing. Does it really matter?
Exactly.
Right.
I
happen to completely disagree with our panel here.
Okay.
As usual. I think that
Why as usual?
As usual.
You have to be a rebel all the time?
No, I just happen to be right all the time.
Yeah, right.
Here we go.
This time we're two of us. We could take you. But go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah? Oh, I like this. The challenge has been issued. Here's what I think. When you're dating casually, it doesn't matter. It's nobody's business. When you're dating and you're kind of getting to know each other and you're thinking, hey, this might be going somewhere, you still don't need to know. If you're getting engaged, if you're committing resources to somebody, if you're committing your life to somebody, if you're planning to have kids with somebody, you need to make sure that all of your values are aligned, and a person's past will always haunt them. Your past will always follow you. So you're better off finding out whether it's you who's worried about, I don't know, or if it's you're worried that the person's going to judge you.
I would certainly look, if it matters to you, I don't think you wait till you're engaged to ask that question.
Some people don't feel comfortable bringing it up, and you're right. If it's that important to you, you should.
You're going to do that early on.
But somebody doesn't have the obligation to answer you unless there's something on the table. And if we're looking at a serious commitment coming down the way after a period of dating, you'd better know, especially if you have a value system that says, I would not get married if I had known about this. And those are the questions you need to be asking. Now, does it bother everybody? No. But if it does bother you, you have every right to ask, because you don't want to be in a position where you get married to somebody after dating and it comes up afterwards and you say, I would not have married you if I had known you had had this kind of past.
Well, which is interesting because that says something to me about the person. And, if you wanted a virgin, you should have asked for one,
But it's not
So
necessarily
what's
a
the
virgin.
number?
What's the number?
What's the magic number?
Each person draws the line individually. You have to be
You
self-aware.
you have to draw the line at a specific number. So, okay, so my number, let's say, is 12, and you had 13. Oh, sorry, can't marry you because you had
maybe
13
not.
lovers.
Maybe not. Look, let's look at the issue. What if you
Frank,
had
it doesn't make any sense. It's a number.
It's not just a number. It's
just
based on a value
number.
system. The
What's
number
the value?
is a reflection of a value system. What are the person's sexual values? What are a person's...
So who's going to determine, who makes the decision in this world that at this number, you're a player or suddenly you're a whatever you are, because it's a value judgment, clearly.
Yes,
it's
is.
like, what number, so you're a slut at this number and not
Under
at that
5
number?
and more than 5.
And for men, it's bigger, and for women, it's smaller? Like, how does this
so
work?
it just adds to the double standard that if a man sleeps, and now I'm going to be very general, okay? If a man sleeps with 50 and a woman sleeps with 10, then it's okay. It makes, at least
And
in
if
my
she sleeps with 50 and he sleeps with 10, not
then
okay.
it's not okay.
Right.
I don't think that's right.
I don't think that's right
It
either.
doesn't matter.
Listen,
it just
on this
shouldn't
I
matter
agree.
at all.
Listen,
You're dealing with the person of who they are
Okay,
right
but
now.
you see, now that's your value. So what I'm hearing from this is, Fritz, you don't put a value on that. It's not, that for you does not determine somebody's whatever. Like, it doesn't for me either. It's not a question of that. I wouldn't judge somebody. I would want to know, hey, what was going on in your life at that time? Or, so you weren't in serious relationships. I would be much more interested to know how much, if they ever cheated on partners. That's more interesting to me than the number of partners they would have had. That says more about somebody's value, to tell you the truth.
Well, everything is going to be a reflection of your value system, because actions are a reflection of the person's actual values, not what they say, but what they do.
So what would be the difference in a value if I had 10 partners or 12 partners?
It wouldn't matter to anybody other than yourself and how you feel about you and the person who you want to commit to that wants to commit back to you.
So, like, for me, I would never commit to somebody who would judge me on whatever number I had.
There you go. And that's your value system. But that's something you should find out before you get too serious. And that's why
I would hope that if it matters to you, you're going to bring it up a hell of a lot earlier so that we don't get involved. And it's like, you know what? You're not comfortable with that. Because I've seen couples where the woman, it's usually the woman, is justifying, and saying, but it was in the past, but it means nothing now, but you're the one. And it doesn't get through. It's like, no, too many, can't handle it. I can't stop thinking about it. And it just destroys the relationship. More dating dilemmas coming up. I want to know, does it matter to you, your partner's number? Let's hear from you tonight on Passion on CJAD 800.
This is Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Dating dilemmas tonight on the program with my dating expert panel, brought to you by EliteSpeedDating.com, Fritz-Gerald of Elite Speed Dating, along with Frank Kermit, who is here of FrankTalks.com, dating coach and author of many books on this subject. All right, so I actually kept a text message at 514-800 from last week, and I thought, oh, this is a good one for Frank. So I tried to answer it, but let's see if you got it, okay?
Here we go.
I'm a 30-year-old male. I'm now 20 months sober from alcohol and cocaine.
Good for you.
I have my own condo. I have a good career. I am afraid to meet a woman because of the inevitable discussion. How and when should I approach it?
This is a fantastic question. All right. This actually ties into what I was talking about before. How much of your past do you share? There's two ways to go about this. Number one, if this is something that you're really worried about getting rejected for and you don't want to have to meet somebody, get attached, or put yourself out there to face even a harsher rejection, be upfront about it as long as, and here's the rule, As long as you're okay with this information being public, be as upfront about it as you can. The same way that you were telling us here. I've been sober for, you said 20 months now? I've been sober for 20 months. I'm looking to stay that way. I've made a lot of changes in my life recently, and I'm looking to find somebody to share this new life with.
Okay.
If you are that honest about it, anybody who would have rejected you won't even go out on a first date with you. And that's what you're trying to do here. You're trying to thin out the numbers.
Right.
You don't want to be in a position where you're dating 20 people, of which 10 of them would have turned you down and broken up with you for finding out. So you're letting them know right away so that you're only dealing with the 10 who are open to it for a variety of reasons. Number 2, this is where if you're not comfortable with this information being public.
And you say that because once you tell one person, you can't control what they tell to others.
If you're going to share it with one person and you, let's say, frequent the same restaurants, they'll start telling the waitstaff, they'll start telling their friends. Eventually, something that you wanted to keep secret is now going to become public. And if you're looking to stay sober, people who want to stay sober have to also be careful of those individuals who are looking to get them hooked again.
Well, but who would these people be?
If a drug dealer says, hey, I know that person is susceptible and I can get them hooked on me and make money off it, you might not want kind of private information.
You're such a drama queen. I wouldn't even have thought of all those things.
But that's why I'm right. Because nobody else thinks about these things.
You're a drama queen is what you are.
For whatever reason, somebody may decide, I don't want this information to get out. If that's the case, when you're on a date, you want to test the person to see how they would feel about it. Bring up people in the media, for example. Maybe you'll bring up a celebrity who used to have a problem with drugs and alcohol and is now sober and say, what do you think about that? Isn't it great that they got over that? And if the person responds with, look, it's great that they got over it, but man, why did they have to get into it in the first place? You already know not to date the person again. Or conversely, if the person says, well, to be very honest, I actually have a lot of sympathy for them. Okay, we've all got demons. We all got this, and maybe shares a personal story. Now you got somebody who's a keeper.
Or who's at least not going to reject you for that.
Exactly.
Do you have any other thoughts?
I agree
Fritz?
with most of what Frank says
You're
here.
perfectly allowed to disagree with him. Yeah.
Most, but not everything. I think, first of all, if you've been sober off of alcohol and cocaine for 20 months, you should be very proud of it, own it, and it's part of who you are. So you shouldn't even be ashamed about it. And when do you bring it up? Bring it up on the first date. It will come up once you're not having a drink. And you're not you're not having a drink, you're not doing.
And I think that's the kind of thing that's okay to bring up right away.
But some people have reasons to keep it private. It may affect their profession. It may affect their living situation. Maybe the people that are closest to them may not know.
I understand where you're coming from, but the fact that if we take, for example, this gentleman who's now over it and has been sober, I actually think it would probably help him, even professionally, knowing the fact that he was going through this and now he's overcoming it and being able to move forward from it. People, I think, will respect him or her even more so for being able to say, you know what, this is who I am. It shaped me. And now that I've dealt with this, if it shows up again, I'll be better prepared to deal with it again, or to know, you know, what is my limit? I shouldn't be dealing with these people. I shouldn't be hanging out with this because this is where it leads
I think as
to.
a person, on the receiving end, if somebody said that to me, I'd want to know, because I get to make the decision whether, because there's still always a fear of relapse and there's fears of different things that I want to go with my eyes open. I wouldn't want to find out after.
Yes, and I agree with you.
So what you're saying is that somebody's past, even though they may be over it, is actually still a factor in your decision-making process.
Their sexual past isn't.
Yes, but now I love the fact that you just said that, Frank, because the fact that the person was now on cocaine and alcohol has no influence on the number of people that they've been with. So
or they may not remember.
Well, they didn't remember.
Yeah. Let's go to the phone lines and get David on the line. Hi, David.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. I only got a problem. I'm too straight, too honest, and I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't go to bars, and I never even tried a joint in my life.
Okay. So.
And the problem is, I'm too square to meet somebody.
You're too what?
He's too
guess
square. He's
Oh,
too
you're
square.
too square. I disagree with you. I think there are plenty of people who can appreciate, if you want to call it square.
I have a question for you, David. Has a girl ever rejected you for saying that you're just too clean?
Well, yeah, a couple of there here and there said,
Yeah.
"Well, look at you're too straight."
You're too
Or-
good. You're too good, basically, is what they're saying. And
Or do they say you're just no fun?
Well, it's not that they want to go out to the bars or they want to go out to, and I won't. I just don't go to bars. I don't find it appealing. I don't drink.
You can have a club
Right.
soda at a bar. It's not this the environment. It's not necessarily that you have to drink.
but why
I
go
go
to a
with
bar? Why
I go with
to a-
I go with friends who are all going. I know I don't
Yes.
drink.
But he's not. David, correct me if I'm wrong. You don't find the environment of a bar appealing because of how many people are drinking there, and you don't drink. Is that correct?
So
What's
David, find somebody who shares other interests with you. We don't all go to hang out at bars, you know. Like you can
No,
go.
I know
Okay,
that.
take
Well,
dancing
I'm-
lessons or something.
Well, I consider myself a gentleman. I'm interested in meeting a lady, and the problem is living in the country is harder than if we live in a city. But even there's not enough people. There's not enough places where seniors can meet. It's hard to meet.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's hard to meet, but there are seniors groups. There are seniors online dating sites.
Yes.
There's maybe you need to do a seniors thing for speed dating. Are you going to do that?
Yes, we could.
Okay, there you go. Get in touch with elitespeeddating.com. Start getting your friends there, and we'll see if that we can organize something for seniors.
David, one last suggestion. There are seniors newspapers, seniors magazines. See if you can take out an ad specifying that you're clean and that, it's what you value in your lifestyle and that you're looking for some companionship. And this way you be very clear in your ad about what you offer and that you're seeking the same.
I also think, David, there's seniors breakfast on Sundays. There's different places where you can meet. I agree with
there's all
with Dr.
kinds of
Laurie.
stuff.
It says you don't have to go to a bar. And even if you do, you can grab a club soda.
David, get out there. There are things you've got to get out there. Staying in your home and not getting out there, you're not going to find anybody. That's for darn sure. So you've got to either go online or go out there, join groups, join senior centers, all of that, because there's action happening out there in the senior world. I can tell you that for darn sure. Thanks so much for calling in. So just a couple of things. I'm a female and I can relate to David. How old is he, and is he looking for a friend? I believe David is 67 years old, looking for a friend. So I don't know who wants to match up who, but if David wants to call and you want to call, Brian will take your information, and I don't know what to do with that, but I don't want to be the matchmaker.
I'll be the matchmaker.
There you go, David.
So there you go. You know what? Instead, why don't you all contact Frank at FrankTalks.com. Frank at FrankTalks.com. Let him do it. Let him figure
Look,
it out.
I'm happy to be the go-between to allow the two of you to have a conversation, and you take it from there.
There you go. Okay, so as to the numbers, the fact is that everyone has a past, this person says. Whether you are both in your 20s or widowed or divorced, that is the reality. If there are sparks and an interest, then it's up to you to do what you will. I agree with that. Somebody else says, I would much rather know the nature and quality of someone's past relationships as opposed to the sheer quantity of relationships. Good point they may have had, given the former information tells me much more about a person than the latter. Bingo. I think
Yes.
I would want to know, have you ever had a serious, let's say the person's 40. Have you ever had a serious, no, never had a relationship that lasted more than 2 months. Red flag, red flag, red flag.
That tells
would
you
be,
more.
Yeah, that tells me way more than, I've had how many sexual
Exactly.
partners. Absolutely. Good point. Touche. That one trumps
Do you
him.
agree?
That one
Yes.
trumps Frank. I'm sorry. That one just trumps him.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't trump me because the
news
number matters for some people.
News is next, and then more dating dilemmas and your thoughts here on CJAD 800.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Let's talk about sex.
Dating dilemmas on the program. I think every time we've always had people who say, "Oh, I could relate to that person," or "I'd like to meet that person," or and I've toyed with the idea, of like, could we turn this into like a dating thing, literally like a fix-up thing? And I'm like, no. I would much rather Fritz-Gerald do that. Why don't you take part in speed dating events? Like, to me, that is the place. That is the thing to do. If a lot of people say they don't like the online thing, okay, you don't want the online thing. The next best option is really speed dating, where you meet.
Yes.
Like 7 to 10 people. What is it? How many people do you meet?
We guarantee at least 6 to 10 dates within the evening, so you're definitely going to meet at least 6 to 10
I mean,
people.
they're not long dates. There's
5 minutes
5-minute
each.
dates, but at least you get enough of a little bit of something
Yes.
to know if you'd want to go out with them on another date.
Again. But what we also do, what we focus at Elite Speed Dating is the event itself. So you have to think about it. You're going out, you're meeting people, you're having drinks or not, but it's something to do on a night that we feel is better than being at home alone.
Certainly better than being home.
So, and it gives you the opportunity to, if you don't meet then, you can meet later, but it gets you out there and it gets you into the mood.
Gets you practicing too,
Yes.
right? Because you're practicing to have conversation. I know Frank has also held these events before, and you kind of train people how to do this.
One of the reasons I'm such a fan of the speed dating model is that when I'm working with somebody who is struggling to learn some basic social and conversation skills, what an opportunity. You're
Yeah.
going to get about 10 minutes to talk to a number of people, and you can say the same stories about yourself that you have rehearsed.
Right. You practice. It's
Exactly.
practice. Practice until you feel more comfortable.
And then it'll just flow, right? Because we do understand that maybe not everybody is very okay socially, right?
Especially
Or
the first time.
first time,
Sometimes it takes a
you
bit
get
of time
nervous.
to warm up.
And that's fine. So we have hosts there. We set the mood. We make sure that you feel comfortable within the event. And if you feel comfortable, chances are you'll be able to speak more freely. You'll be able to laugh, show the better you. Or I actually don't like to say better. I say show the real you, because you are good.
The uninhibited you. But that's hard because, you're inhibited at the beginning. Anybody is. Everybody's on their guard.
Yes.
They want to show they want to put their best foot forward. It's not always, the real you.
Well,
It's your
really the real you.
The real you comes out later. 6 months later, more like it, Fritz. So when's your next event?
The next event is September 9th.
Hey, that's coming
That
up.
is our next event.
What age group is that?
That is for the 25 to 35
Okay.
and 36 to 45. What I also like to mention is we put up the events, and we also have events for 46 and up. And now we've just discussed events for seniors. Participation is key here, people. If you want an event, you have a place that will make the events for you. You just need to let us know, sign up, and we'll make it happen. The idea is, and we take great pride in it, to make people happy and have them meet. I enjoy people. I enjoy having conversations, laughing, hanging out.
Yeah,
That's
you're
what we
good
like
at
to
what
do.
you do. Yeah, and what I like is
come on out.
you do the different. We talked about doing one for people with disabilities,
Please.
and there's many different options. But people have to sign up, request what they're looking for. When you get enough people, you put it together.
Exactly.
Right. So that's the way to do it, guys. Go to elitespeeddating.com and sign up. Just doesn't cost anything to sign up.
Doesn't
does it?
cost anything at all to sign up.
Right. So that works. Fabulous. Okay, we did get some questions, I believe, on Facebook. Let's see. What do you think? Which one do you have there, Frank, that you want to go with?
Okay, this came in. How do you find the time to date within your marriage? How can you date your wife or husband to keep your marriage fresh?
Yeah, that's more of a marriage question.
That's more of a marriage
Yeah,
question, but it's about
definitely.
how to recapture. I think that even some couples that have been together a long time, they want to recapture some of those feelings that they had when they were dating.
Yeah, you can't. I often tell couples who've been together a very long time and say they want to recapture those same feelings. you're only a virgin once. You're only or you only lose it once. You only have one beginning. You can't keep up that momentum. What you can do though is focus on your couple. Like there's no reason why passion has to disappear, but you have to fan the flames, because at the beginning the flames are there without doing anything, just there. And as you go on in your relationship, they become hot embers. They're still hot, but it needs action to get some flames going. So date nights is what happens. What happens to a lot of couples is when they have children or whatever, they become children focused. And what's the first thing to go when you focus on your kids? Your couple. You know, you don't think about. So I always tell people this is the order of importance of priority in life. It's you first. In other words, take care of you. Because if you don't take care of you, you're no good to anybody else. Then you take care of your couple. Because without that strong couple bond, it's difficult to have the healthiest, let's say, family environment. And then you take care of the kids. I don't mean neglect your kids at the expense of everything else. But all I'm saying is, if you neglect yourself and you neglect the relationship and you give the excuse that it's because you're focusing on the children, it's not gonna be healthy. You're gonna mess it up along the way.
I couldn't agree with you more. Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. And the word recapture, it was always there. You just need, like you say, fan the flames.
You don't have to recapture anything. You just have to, ignite a little bit.
Ignite, exactly.
I'm reminded of the story of an elderly couple who were struggling to reignite the flames. And one of the questions that they were asked through the process was, well, what was it about the other person that initially attracted you? And she had said, when I first met him, he was a man in uniform. So they went out on a date.
He put on his
uniform. Put on his own uniform.
And
boom. And all of a sudden, it was just like, because that little anchor, because that little attachment, that association was there again. And it just ignited it enough that they were able to have a date and recapture some of the things that they
sometimes it's a question of going back to places that you remember together, or going back to your first date location, or where you first made out, or those are great as nostalgic romantic pieces, but those are not. He's gonna wear his uniform every time they go out on a date? like it doesn't make sense. So obviously, the message here is you have to put effort into it.
Of course.
You have to not lose sight of the importance of being a couple. And, I know many couples who have a standing date night, and they have a babysitter booked every, week or every second week, whatever it is. They pick a night and they do something, no matter what. Doesn't matter if they're too tired. They are going out because they're paid for the babysitter. So, and otherwise you just kind of like, we'll do it another day. You just, and we forget there's too many tomorrows that come, one after the other.
Someday.
We'll do it soon. Yeah, soon. But soon is not soon enough, you know? So we do have to put effort into that. This texter writes, 34-year-old single girl in the West Island. I'm still looking for West Island's be getting locations. Will you guys ever have any around here? So I don't know if you ever do any, like...
We don't do... Right now, the locations that we use are downtown and the Old Port. Those are the locations that we do use.
But you should consider... There's a lot of people in the West Island, especially in an older category where they remarriage, or... You know what I mean?
Yes, and we will look into it. It's something to consider.
Actually, no, wait, you're doing one. Aren't you
well,
doing
there's
Cielo?
Yes, there's
right.
Cielo. That's not the traditional kind of speed dating that we do.
Right.
Very exciting, actually. That's going to be a yoga speed dating, and that is in the West Island.
Okay, so Cielo, one of our Friday night sponsors, Cielo Yoga and Fitness Studios, will be hosting a speed dating event for people who are interested in yoga and meditation and things like that. So that's like-minded individuals. So when's that?
September 17th. Saturday, September 17th.
Okay, so there you go. There's a West Island location. Put on your yoga gear. That's the fun part. You don't have to dress up. Just put
Not
on.
at all.
And then the person who sees you in your yoga gear. It's okay. You don't have to be all made up. You can be ready for exercise, and that's good.
That's fantastic. You'll be
I like that.
Meeting people, stretching, meditating,
Yeah.
You'll be very zen.
And then in between you'll be literally dating, like
Dating,
having
that's
these
correct.
5-minute
That's
dates.
correct.
Good. I think it's a great idea. And if people have other ideas too, like to give
We
you,
take
right?
yes.
You take that into consideration as well.
Everything can be done. We just need the will of the people. We will make sure that you meet. That's our engagement to you, is we will facilitate every meeting possibility that can happen.
So sign up.
Exactly.
Well, that's all you do. It doesn't cost anything.
Get out there.
Yeah, elitespeeddating.com. All right, more of your questions coming up. You can send them to us right here at 514-800. You can certainly call in at 514-790-0800. Frank Kermit, Fritz-Gerald, and myself for Dating Dilemmas here on Passion on CJAD.
This is Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Dating Dilemmas tonight on the program. Fritz-Gerald of elitespeeddating.com, Frank Kermit of FrankTalks.com, and me of CJAD.com. We are here, or DrLaurie.com. We're all only .coms these days. It's like everybody's introduced that way. Isn't it funny? So, and yet I know we have a lot of listeners who may not have internet at all. But anyhow, whatever. That's besides the point. All right, we do have questions to answer for you, but you still have time to get them in right here at 514-800. I was with a guy for almost 2 years. We've been split up for about a year now, but as we're in the same friendship group, we still socialize with each other. Awkward. I was then told that he has feelings for one of my best friends of 13 years. I hate it. Am I overreacting? Am I wrong to feel like this? There's no right or wrong about feelings, by the way. You can feel how you want to feel, but what you do about it.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with the way you're feeling about it. You're allowed to be uncomfortable. You're allowed to hate it. Don't interfere, because when your ex is still within your social circles, it's an unreasonable expectation to assume that your ex isn't going to date someone you know. That's what happens.
But this is her best friend. It's odd.
I
I have to say, I have one of my best friend, one of my closest friends. She was very close friends. This was way back, I guess, in their early 20s. Very close friends with the woman whose, first boyfriend was the guy that she ended up marrying. So they know each other intimately from before and what have you. But there was never any discomfort, actually, even though they were all in the same circle. I think it was a bit odd, but it wasn't like, I felt maybe a bit weird at first. But you know what? They both ended up loving Pete,
Right.
and having great relationships. And so there was nothing to regret.
I think it's an issue of expectation. If you have the expectation that your ex isn't going to date one of your friends down the road, it's unreasonable. You don't control that. You're free to date whoever you want. Your ex is free to date whoever he or she wants.
And what if your best friend is his perfect mate?
Yeah.
And what if your ex is
They're
your
perfect.
best friend's perfect mate?
Yeah.
Like, what if they end up having a great relationship
But
just
that's
because
what
it didn't
happens.
work out for you, right?
That's what happens in social circles. You're all hanging out together because you all do get along, because you share a certain
You share
common
something,
element.
right?
Yes.
And it's going to happen that your ex is going to date somebody that you know. And if anything, be happy for them. Be happy that they've paired up and now they're out of the dating pool and everybody else is free for you.
I say that if you date within the same social circle, and yes, you do have similarities, and that's why you're friends in the first place. As you're starting to date, you should be aware of the consequences of you dating, and if it should so happen that you would break up. And if you do break up, then yes, I agree with you that it's unreasonable. Well, I'm going to be careful. It's not unreasonable. You're allowed to feel the way that you are feeling, and good for you. With feelings, you should be feeling that way. But you can't expect that person to not date within that same circle when you yourself dated that person
From the
in
same
that circle.
Right.
So-
And you may have rejected that person, or you decided it wasn't for you. Why can't it be for somebody else? So maybe being happy for somebody else, for your best friend, is the best way to go.
Yeah, don't look
Approach
at-
with compassion, not with
Don't focus
whatever.
on what you feel you may have lost or that you might feel that you're going to lose. Your best friend of 13 years Well, when she eventually finds her life partner, you're not going to be a priority to her anyway, because she's going to move on and her family, her future is going to be her priority.
Yeah, but you still keep your friendships.
You can still keep your friendships, but if you have to put time into your life partner and your kids over your friends, well, guess what? That's where you're going to be going. It's just an unreasonable expectation to say, well, we'll be best friends forever. Yeah, but if you're in a major jam and you have to make a choice between, well, do I buy a house with my life partner for my kids, or do I give that money to my best friend who needs a loan? No, you're going to put your spouse and
obviously.
kids ahead of
Yeah,
your friend.
For sure. Well, that would be the
I
smart
love the
thing to
examples.
do. She's such a drama queen, eh?
No, I'm not a drama queen. I'm
are.
right.
I'm
right.
From now on, I'm just calling you the drama queen.
And it's a drama king. Thank
yeah,
you very
thank you.
much.
Right.
I'm a little bit more masculine than that. Okay, dude?
Right,
Okay.
all right, drama king. Here's another question. My mother keeps asking me when am I going to get a girlfriend? I'm 27 and never had a serious girlfriend, even though I've been with girls. How do I tell her that the reason I refuse to ever have a girlfriend, get married, or give her grandkids is because I saw what she did to my dad when they divorced, lied to the judges, and how she made his life and my life a living hell when I was in high school. Oh, I feel sorry for this guy. This is trauma.
This is definitely
This
trauma.
is trauma, and he's shooting himself in the foot because if he doesn't work out this trauma, he's going to be alone. And
Yes.
and to spite, it's almost like I'm so angry at what you did. Screw you. I'm not giving you grandchildren ever.
Well, well, let's also be. He might not be doing it to get back at his mom. He might be saying, "I don't trust women. I saw what happened. I don't want it
Right.
to happen to me."
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what it
That's
is.
true.
It's issues of trust here that need to be dealt with, but they will come out in relationships as well. You know, if he does decide to have a longer term relationship, that issue that is possibly unresolved inside is going to show itself.
If anything, he probably needs to learn how to spot someone that is trustworthy.
That's a good
And
point.
how to test someone and find out. Because if chances are, I mean, in these cases, if someone is going to be vindictive to an ex-spouse, it's very likely that they exhibited vindictive behavior patterns before the divorce. So if you're going to hook up with somebody who's already a vindictive person, you got to know eventually they may turn it on you. So learning how to spot the signs
Yeah.
that someone is not trustworthy, that someone would take massive revenge in horrible ways if they feel they've been wronged. Those are the red flags that you're looking for. And if you can find somebody who says, look, who doesn't already do those things, then you found somebody that at least doesn't violate those trust barriers for you.
I think that, first of all, the two things need to be separated. As you said, he's not only shooting himself in the foot, he's using a shotgun and really
Yeah.
spraying that everywhere. You need to probably have a good conversation with your mother. That's number one.
I don't know. Yeah, I think with a therapist.
With
more
a
than the
therapist
mother.
involved,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Involved. There's that issue, and there's also there's that aspect of the situation, and you do not want to mix your girlfriends or compare them probably to your mother, where this is what you did.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's
another-
why I'm saying it will come out. If it doesn't get healed, it will come out in relationships, and he might be afraid of that. He might just be afraid of himself in those situations, and of trusting, and that somebody's going to screw him over too. Scary. It's scary. These are the effects of divorce. You know, there was
Yeah.
a study done that said the effects aren't seen right away, but they're often seen 25 years later. In the children 25 years later for this very reason. You're listening to Dating Dilemmas here on Passion on CJAD 800.
This is Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Last couple of minutes here with Fritz-Gerald of EliteSpeedDating.com, Frank Kermit of FrankTalks.com for Dating Dilemmas. Last question. Not sure. Let's see if you could do it in a minute, okay? I've never been on a date before. I've never had a girlfriend. I'm very awkward. I'm not very attractive. So far, no woman has been interested in going on a date with me. I've thought about paying for just a date. Should I pay someone to go on a date with me?
No.
Okay.
Paying for it is not going to solve
You're not
the
going to
issue.
learn it, right? You're not going to learn anything from
Well,
that, are you?
you're going to learn what sex feels like, because I'm assuming he's talking about paying for sex. You'll learn what the physical element of sex feels like, but it's not going to solve, and it's not going to address the craving you have for an emotional connection. You'll still be starved for some kind of emotional connection.
And if you're not talking about sex, you're just talking to be with someone, I still don't think that you should pay for the date.
For a pretend date.
Pretend
right?
date.
Because
it's
it's
not
not
even
going to
gonna be
teach you
real.
the skills, but it
Exactly.
doesn't teach you the skills that you need to
You become
date.
socially dull, and I've
Yes.
seen this. You become socially dull because the person you're paying them to agree with whatever you do.
Oh, right.
So if you do something that's a major violation, if you do something that would creep out somebody you are not paying,
Right, you're never going to know
you're
it.
never going to know. This is
That's
why
a good point. Now, somebody like this sounds to me like if somebody like this came to me, I would send them right to you.
Yeah,
Frank,
my
because
specialty
that's
is this is my specialty: adult male virgins who are struggling that they've never had any real experience and they want to get out there. And these are guys who didn't pay for it because they either have a value system against it or they figured, is paying for it going to solve it? And the answer is no, because you're still going to be the same you.
And I just want to say, I get, some people are awkward and you can teach them social skills. So you can learn how not to be so awkward. The other thing is, you say you're not so attractive aesthetically, but attraction is so much more than your physical appearance.
Yes.
We don't know what he grew up with. A number of the adult male virgins that I coach grew up in environments where they were constantly reminded that they were not attractive.
Right.
So we don't know.
So the
what
self-esteem, so it could very well be that
Self-esteem.
it's what he thinks of himself, not what he actually is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Guys, we've come to the end of the program. Thank you so much. If you want to get in touch with Frank, Frank at FrankTalks.com, or just go to his website, FrankTalks.com. He's got a bunch of books released, especially if you're interested in the adult male virgin stuff. You can find it there. If you're interested in speed dating, go sign up at EliteSpeedDating.com. And if you need to get in touch with me, passion at CJAD.com. Thanks to Brian Calisar, Master Control, and thanks to all of you for sending in your questions. News is coming up next, followed by the CJAD Comedy Show. Wishing you a great rest of the evening. And please remember, life is short, so do take the time to smell the flowers and indulge your passions.
Need help with love, sex, dating, and relationship issues? Help from Frank Kermit, the best-selling author and Canada's most international relationship coach, is only a click away at FrankTalks.com. Coaching is available in person, by phone, and by Skype for singles, couples, and alternative lifestyles. FrankTalks.com.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by the Adult Male Virgin Seminars and Telephone Consultations. If you are an adult and want to get a handle on this once and for all, you need this seminar. Being an adult male virgin can be most stigmatizing in today's society. You feel like a failure in the eyes of the mass culture around you, alienated from your male friends who all talk about their sexual conquests, and you must hide this shameful secret lest they use it against you. And the very personal pain, anguish, and despair that cannot be described by words that haunts you every moment of your life. Enough is enough. It is time for male virgins to take charge of their sex lives. Frank gives you the rules of winning in this seminar. The Adult Male Virgin Seminars and Telephone Consultations. Make your first time the best time of her life. Only available at FrankTalks.com. Frank helps adult boys turn into men.
Need help with love, sex, dating, or relationship issues? Help from Frank Kermit, the best-selling author and Canada's most international relationship coach, is only a click away at FrankTalks.com.
From Loser to Seducer is the story of Frank B. Kermit. This book marks the triumph of a nice guy over most of his inner demons. This includes going from being a loser to managing 5 lovers at the same time, his first Valentine's date with 2 women at the same time, and getting back the one that got away. Want to learn how you can change your life? Buy this book at FrankTalks.com.